The NBA point guard position has completely evolved. We aren't just talking about guys who bring the ball up and initiate an offense anymore. In 2026, in the modern NBA, the elite lead guards are full-blown offensive engines, late-game executioners, and elite defensive disruptors. Heading into the 2026 to 2027 season, ranking this position is harder than it's ever been because the margin between very good and generational is razor thin. In this video, I'm breaking down the definitive top 10 point guards in the league heading into next season. This isn't a career achievement award. This is about who you want running your franchise by the start of next season based off of film, high-level metrics, their performance over the 2025 to 2026 season, and where I think their potential is. Now, I got some hot takes and I got some consensus locks, but let's start with the guys who just missed the cut with 3 honorable mentions. First up on the honorable mentions list is De'Aaron Fox. Fox had a very rough playoff stretch. I'm going to be real, especially in the finals. He struggled tremendously. He's still one of the most terrifying transitions players in the world. When he gets ahead of steam on the break, defenses are completely at his mercy. He is one of the fastest players in the league. Last season, he continued to be the focal point of a young San Antonio offense. His pull-up game out of the pick and roll has become incredibly lethal, but I still have him outside of the top 10. Not trying to be any recency bias, but the finals appearance definitely brought him down, and also just the sheer depth of elite point guard play in the league pushes him down even further. If maybe he didn't have that rough playoff stretch, maybe I don't put him, maybe he's top 10, maybe he's at the 10 spot. But we'll never know, I guess, because, I mean, he still made it that far, but he really struggled against New York. But for Fox to push into the elite tier this season, I think he just needs to be smarter with the ball, really. That's what really sold him in the playoffs last season. But Fox is still a very young player, and give him maybe 1 or 2 more seasons, very good season, I think he can be in the top 10 on my list. Next up, I got Darius Garland, who just got traded from Cleveland to LA last season. And I actually absolutely love this for Garland. I think this gives him much better opportunity to grow as a player without having a Donovan Mitchell right next to him in the backcourt. I still think he'll have a better chance to grow here. But Darius Garland is just a pure classical playmaker. He's a floor general. He's a modern scorer. He can manipulate screen and roll actions in remarkable ways. He possesses a masterclass change of pace handle and a beautiful flow game. And I love that he is in an LA offense under Ty Lue. His statistical bounce back last season proved that when he's healthy, the Clippers are a playoff team. He just absolutely skyrockets their offensive ceiling. Now, like I said, I do like that he is not coexisting with Donovan Mitchell in the backcourt anymore. But if he wants to get on my top 10, then he needs to prove that he can hold up physically when opposing teams hunt mismatches to try to isolate him defensively on the perimeter. But I do think that Garland's vision and shooting are absolutely elite here and something fun to watch. But he's just below the top 10 threshold as of now. On my last honorable mention, little surprising, I got Trae Young. A lot of people might have him way, way higher, like maybe in the top 5 talks. And I understand that this might be a crazy hot take, but let me just explain why. Now, he does produce numbers that very few humans or few players in NBA history have been able to produce. I mean, he's a walking 25 and 10 machine. His gravity out to maybe 35 feet. It bends defensive shells completely out of shape. His floater to lob pass deception is an art form. That is what tears defenses apart when he was at Atlanta anyway. However, the top 10 requires immense positional versatility or elite team impact. And I do think he will be able to thrive in Washington with his lineup, with a team with AD, Alex Sarr, and AJ Debinsa. I think he has a very great chance and great potential to thrive, as if he hasn't already been thriving in Atlanta. But the reason I don't have him in the top 10 is because his defensive limitations. I mean, if Washington wants to survive in a playoff environment, they need Trae Young to lock in defensively. He is an incredible playmaker, and he has a great scoring ability. He's not known for a scorer, but he is an incredible playmaker. And I think if he can lead Washington to a playoff spot in the East, then he will be in my top 10 in no time. Because I want to have him in my top 10. I love Trae Young, but there's too many good point guards, too many elite point guards in the league. I couldn't put him over anybody, I think. Now here is where my top 10 begins, and this is probably where everybody's going to be mad because I'm putting Peyton Pritchard in my top 10 at number 10, and people are going to be like, why are you putting Peyton Pritchard above Trae Young? Why are you putting Peyton Pritchard above Darius Garland? Okay, well, I'm going off of, like I said, I'm going off a bunch, but especially heading into next season where I think like what their potential could be, and with Peyton Pritchard starting, with no Jaylen Brown, I think he'll have a leap year, similar to what Jalen Brunson did last season. Now, if we take a look at an actual basketball impact heading into next season, Peyton Pritchard has transformed from a reliable six-man, reliable backup point guard into an absolute advanced analytics dream and one of the most ruthless, high-efficiency guards in the NBA with 4.0 assist-to-turnover ratio and an elite movement shooter. And he was a bench engine on a very good team. Imagine how he's going to perform as a starter with no Jaylen Brown, who limits his teammates' talent out of anybody else, more than anybody else in the league statistically. I think this will open up a great role for Peyton Pritchard. Like I mentioned, when you look at his 2025 to 26 tracking data, Pritchard consistently ranked near the absolute top of the league in assist-to-turnover ratio, frequently hovering around a ridiculous 4-to-1 mark. He simply does not give the ball away, but Jaylen Brown did in Boston. Now, in Boston's historic spacing-heavy offense under Joe Mazzulla, Pritchard operates with zero friction. He is a shooter-heavy, premier movement shooter who can pull up from the logo, run secondary pick and rolls with precision, and scramble opposing defenses with his nonstop motor. He is incredibly fast, incredibly great shooter. He can make half-court shots like nothing. That's not why I put him top 10, but that's just a fun fact. I think Peyton Pritchard has so much potential still. I understand he is getting old for not being in the league for very long, but I still think he has so much potential to be in the top 10, and he can continue climbing for the next couple of seasons as he is now a starter on a very good team under a very good coach and very good staff. Let's look real quick defensively, though. Despite being undersized, he doesn't break. He fights over screens, he sits in a stance and pressure guards full court, and this is the Mazzulla mentality, I feel like, just gritty basketball. He accepts his role perfectly, he maximizes every single possession, and provides historic efficiency. Now, if you want a guard who handles high usage scoring volume, then maybe Peyton Pritchard's not your guy. But if you want a player who perfectly optimizes winning basketball without needing 20 shots a game, then Pritchard deserves a top 10 placement. And I just think with the loss of Jaylen Brown, who suppresses his teammates more than anybody in the league statistically, I think this gives Pritchard the ultimate opportunity to grow as a player who's already won 6 Man of the Year, and now he's going to be starting. He started a little bit last season, but now he's going to be starting without Jaylen Brown. I just think this is Pritchard's opportunity to shine. Moving on to number 9, we have LaMelo Ball, who just got traded to the Minnesota Timberwolves. Now he is in a backcourt with Anthony Edwards. That'll be fun to watch. But if we were ranking players purely on raw, unadulterated talent and basketball imagination, then Melo would be pushing for a top 5 spot. He is 6'7", giving him passing angles that standard point guards can only dream of. He is an incredible playmaker, incredible scorer. He can look over the top of defenses. He can throw pinpoint, cross-court, live dribble passes with either hand and initiate early offense faster than almost anybody in the league, which was already great in Charlotte, leading them to a winning season last season. But imagine what he's going to do in Minnesota with arguably more talent. I mean, not really arguably, but you have guys like Anthony Edwards who you can pass to, who can take the gravity off you, helping you score. I think Melo will thrive in Minnesota. The narrative with LaMelo Ball heading into the season is entirely about availability and his defensive consistency. But when he is healthy, I think Minnesota is a top 2 team in the West, arguably. They look like a legitimate finals level threat. He gives you a high volume scoring, deep three-point range, elite transition playmaking. The potential for LaMelo Ball under Minnesota's evolving infrastructure is massive. If he learns to protect the ball better in the half court, if he stays available, which is obviously it's just not really under his control, but if he avoids injuries and he buys completely into defensive containment, he has the physical tools to completely dominate this position and potentially earn him a top 7 spot coming into next year in my ranking. But this season is his chance under Minnesota to prove that he belongs in the upper echelon on a winning team. Number 8 is the master of pace and isolation, one of the greatest scorers of all time in James Harden. He's not the historic 36 points per game Wilt Chamberlain scorer from his Houston days, but Harden remains one of the smartest, most cerebral offensive orchestrators in basketball. He is an elite scorer still. He's an elite playmaker. Last season, with the Clippers traded to the Cavs, Harden served as the structural foundation of their half-court offense on both teams. He's played shooting guard pretty much his entire career. When in LA, he was switching between shooting guard to point guard. Now that he's in Cleveland, he is mainly a point guard with Donovan Mitchell at the shooting guard position. But with Harden at point guard, his ability to manipulate a low-man defender with his eyes is unmatched. If you park your big man too low in drop coverage, Harden will pick you apart with mid-range floaters or drop an absolute dime to his roller in the pocket, which he's on an incredibly stacked Cleveland team. He has Donovan Mitchell, Jared Allen, Evan Mobley. I mean, he has loads of talent that he can pass to. He single-handedly controls the tempo of a game and slows it down to his exact preferred speed. Now, obviously, he is up there in age now, and he has plenty of experience in doing this, so he is incredibly intelligent, one of the smartest players in basketball, which it might be a hot take. I feel like it shouldn't be, though. Now, the reason I have him at 8 is, if we bring real, it's going to be his defense, and you might be like, oh, well, why is Harden way above Trae Young if Trae Young's doesn't even make the list? Okay, well, Harden's much better scorer than Trae Young, and Harden is also an elite playmaker. I understand Trae Young is an incredible playmaker who also turns the ball over a lot, whereas Harden is an elite playmaker and an elite scorer. He's not a defensive threat, although his diminished burst at the rim is pretty much what keeps him this low on the list. Obviously, he still deserves to make the list for sure, though. But I do think he is slower just at this age now. He's heavily reliant on his step-back threes and just his free throw shots. His perimeter lateral quickness at this stage of his career makes him a target for dynamic, speed-based offenses, which is why he is a liability on the defensive end. But as a pure floor general, as a pure scorer who guarantees an elite team offensive rating, Harden is still a force, and he is almost a lock in the top 10 every year. This year, he's going to be placed at number 8, though. Coming in at number 7 is the greatest shooter to ever walk the earth, Stephen Curry. Let's be real, even at this stage of his career, Steph's conditioning and off-ball gravity bend opposing defenses in ways that analytics tracking maps can barely quantify. The second he steps across half court, 2 defenders have to map his coordinates. Steph's gravity is unparalleled to anybody's in NBA history. Last season, Steph continued to carry an immense offensive load for the Golden State Warriors, having not much help. He did have Jimmy Butler and had Kristaps Porzingis for about half the season before getting hurt, but his conditioning allows him to run miles through a maze of back screens, pin downs, and handoffs, exhausting his primary defender before hitting a lethal relocation three. I mean, he's the greatest three-point shooter ever, so gotta have him top 10 pretty much, guaranteed. He is getting older, though. Still an elite three-point shooter, elite playmaker. His IQ is off the charts with this much experience in the league. It's just incredible talent all around. The reason I have him at 7 and not maybe in the top 5, I don't know. I can't see a world where he would be top 5 right now. Some people might not even have him top 10. I don't see a world where that's possible either. I think 7 is about the perfect spot to have him, but it's simply just a testament to the youth movement and a heavy usage production of the guards above him. Not really much more Curry can do unless he just has a 500, 400 three-point season again. I don't see a world where Curry's going to get top 5 soon just because of the pure talent above him. But as Golden State continues to maybe rebuild or reshape its roster, Curry has to work harder than ever for his clean looks, and his defensive burn has increased significantly. But in a single elimination game or a high-stake playoff fourth quarter, there are still very few players in the universe you would trust more than Steph Curry. I think Curry, until he retires, will always be top 10 on this list. Like I said, Golden State, they don't have the best players around them. Maybe they're getting Braun, but at the time of recording this, Braun is still a free agent, so not 100% yet. But he doesn't have the talent around him that he's had in the past. He is still able to produce incredible three-point shooting, still getting great win percentage. Curry, guaranteed a top 10 spot every year he's in the league pretty much. Number 6, we have the ultimate playoff riser in Jamal Murray. If this list were based purely on regular season stat stuffing, Murray might not even be top 8. But basketball isn't played on a spreadsheet. It's won in the trenches of April, May, and June. And that's where Jamal Murray turns into an absolute superstar. The two-man game between Murray and Nikola Jokic is the most unstoppable, unguardable action in modern basketball. One of the best duos of the modern era, arguably the greatest. Maybe I'll make another video on that. But if you switch it, Murray punishes your big man on an island. If you drop, he buries the pull-up mid-range jumper. If you trap, he makes the perfect pocket pass to players like Christian Brown, Nikola Jokic. I mean, Denver's an absolutely stacked team as well. But Jamal Murray is a large part in that. Obviously, they have one of the greatest players in the world in Nikola Jokic. But heading into the 2026-2027 season, the challenge for Jamal Murray is just maintaining that elite playoff level of play across an entire 82-game regular season, which I think he is able to do. He is an incredibly talented player. But if he's able to play the 82 games or play a full regular season while managing his physical workload on a team like the Denver Nuggets on such a stacked roster, I think he has a chance to make a top 5 spot. He's getting close. I'm not sure how many more years he's going to have left to have a chance to continue growing, though. But his shot creation under pressure, his spatial awareness, and his championship pedigree place him firmly right outside the top 5 at the number 6 slot. I think he's very deserving of a top 10, and he's arguably could be top 5. I think everybody in the top 5 is just they're pretty much all locks as a top 5 player or point guard. As we enter the top 5 with the fastest whistle-to-whistle player in the league, we got Tyrese Maxey. Maxey's developmental curve has been astronomical. He is no longer just an elite secondary play finisher. He is an absolute elite point guard who can anchor an offense by himself. But he won't have to do that as he is on an incredibly stacked Philadelphia 76ers squad. And if this team can stay healthy, who knows where they'll be. Maybe I'll make another video on that. Don't want to get off topic, but a team with VJ Edgecombe, Jaylen Brown, Tyrese Maxey, and Joel Embiid, maybe even LeBron James, he won't have to dominate on his own anymore. He will have, he's always had talent, but I'm saying they just got Jaylen Brown. Potentially will get LeBron James as well. He'll have a much better chance at continuing to grow. But like I mentioned with Peyton Pritchard, Jaylen Brown does suppress his teammates more than anybody in the league. So that's why I have him at number 5 and not any higher, just because statistically he's probably at number 4, for being real, based off just last season alone. But I am worried about his usage rate just because of the talent on Philadelphia's roster. But let's look on the bright side with Tyrese Maxey. His first step is purely unfair. He can sit at the top of the key, he can lull a defender to sleep, and explode past them with zero friction just because of his speed. Last season, his playmaking saw a massive structural leap. He learned how to manipulate help defenses, kick out to corner shooters with velocity, and run high-level pick and rolls with Joel Embiid. Combine that blinding speed with a highly efficient pull-up three-point shot, and you have a modern defensive nightmare. Maxey's ceiling is still rising, and he's still incredibly young, and playing alongside elite spacing means his driving lanes are going to be wider than ever heading into the season. He is a certified superstar, and like I said, if we were just going off of last season, he would be in the top 4, but I do think adding more talent to his roster is going to just suppress his workload, and his usage rate will drop, which will his stats will drop. He'll still be an incredible player, but I think he will drop down maybe just one spot. He could already be the 5th best point guard in the league. It was too close to call, really. And then that was the one thing that pushed it down, really. But let's go ahead and get into number 4. We're not going to waste any time. We have a player whose individual film completely transcends his team's record, Cade Cunningham. He almost single-handedly led the Pistons to the 1 seed in the East last season. Obviously, they didn't perform well in the playoffs, and he was a large part of that. So that's why he's not really any higher. But if you're judging Cade solely based on basic box scores or win-loss columns, you are completely missing the tactical brilliance of what this young man is doing on the floor. He still has so much more years until he enters his prime. He might be in his prime already, but he's still incredibly young, still has so much more potential. I am looking forward to seeing more from him. And like I said, he was the leader of this team, turned them around from whatever their record was in that one really bad season to the 1 seed in the East, and it was pretty much all because of him. Cade is a massive 6'6" point guard who plays with the poise, patience, and pacing of a 10-year veteran, and he entered the league in 2021. He doesn't let perimeter defenders speed him up. He gets his man on his hip in the pick and roll, drives into the middle of the paint, probes the defensive shell, and uses his size to score effortlessly over smaller guards or manipulate help side defenders with precision passes. Last season, despite playing under heavily contested spacing profiles, Cade put up spectacular individual numbers while carrying one of the highest usage rates in the entire NBA. And now that Detroit is finally putting up legitimate floor spacers and a veteran infrastructure all around him, Cade is primed for a massive national breakout, and he has 100% the potential of an MVP finalist, maybe even an MVP winner. We are finally entering the podium. At number 3 on our list is the reigning, undisputed king of New York, Jalen Brunson. What Brunson accomplished during the 2025-26 season was nothing short of legendary. He's leading the New York Knicks to an NBA championship. He got the Finals MVP trophy. He just led the Knicks on the greatest playoff run of all time. That's not even up for debate. They had the greatest plus-minus ever in NBA history, all because of Jalen Brunson. Statistically, Jalen Brunson was spectacular. He averaged 26 points, 6.8 assists per game while shooting an efficient 46.7% from the floor across his 74 games played. The real magic of Jalen Brunson is his absolute mastery of footwork and leverage in the paint. He operates like a heavyweight prize fighter in a point guard's body. He gets into the lane, utilizes head fakes, up and under pivots, and absorbs heavy physical contact to finish over elite rim protectors. He's one of the most clutch late game performers in the entire world. If I could pick anybody, if I could draft a team of the most clutch players, Brunson would be a top 3 pick for sure. He doesn't turn the ball over pretty much at all. He commands the absolute respect of every teammate, and his leap from the previous season to last season has been incredible. He has completely transformed the identity of the Knicks franchise, and entering the 2026-2027 season, he holds a firm grasp on a top 3 spot, and I think this is well-deserved. I just don't think you can put him any higher with knowing who's ahead of him, which pretty much everybody watching this video should know, because coming in at number 2 is arguably the most unguardable individual offensive engine on the planet, Luka Doncic. Last season, Luka put together yet another historically dominant campaign, leading the entire NBA in scoring for the second time in his career with an astonishing 33.5 points per game alongside 8.3 assists and 7.7 rebounds. That doesn't even sound real. Luka does not play at the defender's pace. He forces the entire floor to move at his speed. His step-back three-pointer from the left wing is a staple weapon, and his physical post-up game against smaller perimeter guards is a guaranteed bucket or an open corner 3. He has incredible IQ, even though he is still very young. He reads elite NBA defenses like a book, reading rotations 2 steps before they even occur. Plenty of film watching done by him. Like I said, he's very intelligent. With his massive frame and historic basketball IQ, Luka creates high-quality offense on literally every single possession he initiates. The only thing keeping him from the number 1 spot is the player that's in number 1, and his defensive versatility and total complete two-way impact of the man at the very top. But make no mistake, Luka Doncic is an MVP finalist every single time he steps on a basketball court. But until his defense picks up, I don't think he will have an MVP in his hands anytime soon. And I think he'll probably stay in this 2 spot on the point guard list for a very long while. I don't think he'll go down for a while. Maybe he will, but I don't see him moving up either. Thanks to the guy sitting at the absolute mountaintop as the number 1 point guard in the NBA heading into the 2026-2027 season. We have NBA champion, 2-time MVP, and Finals MVP Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Shai's performance over the 2025-26 season and over the last 3 seasons in general has been nothing short of pristine basketball perfection. He carried the Oklahoma City Thunder, who's already in a stacked roster, but he carried this team with an incredibly efficient 31.1 points and 6.6 assists per game while shooting an unbelievable 55.3% from the field as a perimeter guard. That's almost unheard of. Shai led the entire NBA in total win shares at a whopping 15.2, proving his direct translation to winning basketball. His game is defined by complete, absolute control. He is the undisputed master of the mid-range paint touch. He can slither through screens, he can use subtle hesitations, and he pulls up from 10 to 12 feet with a touch that feels entirely automatic. He creates immense pressure on the rim without relying on raw, vertical athleticism. I've made a whole video talking about how Shai can score at will. Make sure you go check that out. Sorry for the plug, but what really, truly separates Shai from every other elite guard on this list and earns him the number one spot is his elite, high-level defensive impact that not a lot of other guys on this list have at all, and that is because Shai is an absolute disruptor on the defensive end. He uses his long wingspan to diffuse pick and rolls, disrupt passing lanes, and contest shots effectively at the rim. He is a phenomenal two-way player who anchors the best young team in the league. Heading into the season, SGA is the definitive standard at the point guard position. And you can love him, you can hate him. He's undisputedly the best point guard in the NBA. But that wraps up my official top 10 point guard rankings heading in to what is going to be an absolutely wild 2026-27 NBA season. Let me know down in the comments who I ranked too high, who I ranked too low, what your top 10 rankings would be, who you think got snubbed. Let me know your opinions on this ranking. Don't forget to like and subscribe and turn on notifications if you want to see more NBA content.